Welcome back to another episode on Infinite Love with Kate. That's right, me. So, before I begin, obviously, I have to catch you up on this amazing weather heat wave we were having last week. Well, it's back. And by back, I mean WTF. I don't even know what's going on. Obviously, there's a lot changing in the atmosphere because San Francisco just got their first tornado. Things are changing, and we're to blame. That's all I'm going to say about that. Another heat wave, a Midwest heat wave is what I call it. It is like 50-something degrees today. Last week, when I was telling you there was a heat wave, we also then dove right into what we call a polar plunge. And it was freezing all week. Freezing. I thought it would kind of, tread. No, it just dove right into it. It said, oh, really nice day, but I'm going to give you a really cold day. 7 degrees, but it's really going to feel like 0 or negative, depending on where you're at. Thanks. That was great. Here's what that did to me. Friday, I got home from work and I was ready for bed. Not gonna lie. I wanted to dive right in. But there's something about me, like sometimes I'm stubborn when it comes to if I don't feel good or anything, or if I'm really tired. I'm stubborn because I just want 8 hours solid sleep. I don't want to go to bed early and then wake up at 2 in the morning wide awake with nothing to do. Who wants that? So I waited till as long as I could. I'm pretty sure, because I really wasn't feeling good. Besides being tired from the week, I just wasn't. My head, my face, the headaches, the stuffiness, it was pretty. I was a hot mess. I dove right into bed. I believe around 7:45 I was out. Well, I didn't wake up until around the same time, 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, wow, that's damn near 12 hours of sleep. But I never got out of bed. I went back to bed. I rolled over and I was in and out. Then I finally got up, made myself breakfast, brought breakfast back to bed, and threw on a little Law and Order SVU because there's nothing greater than me and Mariska. And I was pretty much catnapping throughout the entire day. I could not fight it. I could not keep my eyes open. I just wasn't feeling it. And finally, I realized I didn't have any of my over-the-counter medicine left. And I was not about to get in the car. I mean, I looked disgusting, but I still loved me. And I just had no energy to do it. So I did grab some ibuprofen and knocked out. Finally, I believe I went to bed around 9:45 and woke up today. Same thing. I woke up about around 8:45. So I got a lot of sleep in. And I thought, okay, I do feel better. Let's get up, you moldy little bear, and get in the shower, make breakfast, and see where it takes you. And ta-da! Here I am. On to the next episode of Infinite Love with You. So today's episode, after I gave you the recap, is what is on my mind. And that is, I'm a Pisces. Yeah, that pretty much probably says it all. But before I get to that, I'm grateful because today ends Mercury in retrograde, or as I like to call it, Mercury is microwaving. Because damn to the emotions and the energies all around. I did really well balancing. I did my best. I think because I was so exhausted this week, I wasn't even emotional. But I'll get back to that in a minute. The impact this had on my students, though, Lord, I felt bad. There was a lot going on. Plus, it's the holidays, which means they're off for 2 weeks, and some of them don't like that. They like to be at school with their friends, their peers. They just want to be seen. They want to be heard. And I get it. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to deal with. So there was a lot of that going on. Putting out fires, trying to help assist or stop behaviors before they went any further. And it was hard because it takes a team. It's not just something I could do. As gifted as I am, I cannot do it all. And it literally takes a team to do this. And you could tell everyone's just wiped out. And it's showing, unfortunately. We have 1 more week left. 4 days for the students, 5 days for staff. We've got this. At least I believe we do. I'm hoping with Mercury saying goodbye that we'll have a good week. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. And if you're out there, say a prayer, say a couple, say a million for me, please. Not just for me, say some for my students, please. But it looks like it'll be a great week because we have a surprise grab bag going on where all the staff were assigned students. So we all bought some gifts for them. So they have no idea that's coming on Tuesday. We're going to see a hockey game on Wednesday. It's going to be cold, but that'll be really cool for them to experience. And Thursday is our big Christmas pajama day. Put on a Christmas movie, make hot cocoa, and just have fun. So basically, I keep telling myself, we just got to get through Monday. If we can get through Monday, it's just a normal school class changing day. We've got this. Wait till next week's episode. But I'm going to go back to, I don't know what I just said there. I really don't. This is where my mind goes. It goes into conversation, but also 10 steps ahead to the next thing I want to talk about. To all my friends and family, sorry. Anyways, Pisces. I'm a Pisces, true and true. But I want to talk about this. There's something I kind of came across a couple of videos where like, if you're a Pisces, blah, blah, blah. And they're 99% true, of course. However, as the years have gone by and I've been watching these videos or coming across and listening, they're not all that true. And I say this because obviously with time changing, healing, the journey and everything else, perspectives, being open to and not so closed off, it's far different. But I also think of it this way, is I got taunted a lot for being a Pisces, over emotional, you're too sensitive. And now going back, because I did a deep reflection, a deep dive on this, because I've been working with my life chart lately. I've been diving deep into it, understanding it a little bit more. This kind of stuff is really hard for me to just dive into. I don't always get it. And I basically need to find a guide to kind of teach me how to look at this chart. But that's a whole different story. The whole point is I was diving into, peeling back the layers of being a Pisces and then my childhood and my teenage years. And the amount of judgment I got. And not just saying, oh, you're a Pisces, shut up, you're crying. It wasn't just that, but it was just like, you're so emotional. Oh, you're too sensitive. From family, from friends, from everyone. People had no problem judging me, to my face at least. I mean, should I be grateful? Sure. However, there's reaction, there's response. And of course, I had reaction because this all came from a very wounded place. Always feeling like I had to defend myself, never feeling like I was heard, right? So when I was going back to it, I realized something though. It's that mirrored reflection. How easy is it for everyone to judge people, but yet they will never turn that finger back into themselves and judge themselves for actually being the one to instigate, to start something by provoking, by judging. Judgment comes from a very wounded person. So you want to call me out for my emotions, my sensitivity, but you don't want to call yourself out for being a bully, for being wounded, for maybe you've been picked on. And it's easier to deflect that onto somebody else. And who better than a Pisces? Who better than a sensitive soul? Because I've always seen it where I benefit you when everything is good. But when I'm emotional or when I'm trying to set a boundary, and I didn't set boundaries very well back then, it's easier for you to then to get mad and get triggered and not take the trigger back to yourself, but take the trigger and project outwardly to me. So much easier. And I kind of just giggled as I thought about this. I was like, wow, this is the majority of my life. Cool. But I don't blame those who judge me. They turn the finger inward, right? I didn't set boundaries and I did not walk away when I should have. And I let those feelings eat at me. I let those judgments stay with me, held on to it instead of released it, let it go. So there's the difference. And that's why I'm talking about this today is because, yes, I'm a beautiful, sensitive, creative soul. Yes, my mind might always be in the clouds, in the daydreams, but they're not daydreams. They're literally me peeling back layers of life and not always romanticizing about it, romanticizing the unknown, the quest for answers, for life, for the dualities of life. That's where my brain goes at times when I am, daydreaming. I don't find myself daydreaming as much as I used to. Because when I did back then when I was a child, that was my escapism. I admit it. I own it. I was always in the clouds, dreaming of the what ifs, dreaming of the could be's, the would be's, the things that could change me, that could take me out of that situation and put me in a healthier one without ever having to do the work. Put that two together. It's crazy how you're able to see things now that you couldn't see then. And I get it. But yeah, so when I do hear it, I giggle now about Pisces and the judgment and blah, 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 blah. There's some great qualities and great traits, don't get me wrong. I love myself enough to know these traits. And I love that I could see the difference in the transformations of what a Pisces overall is. And it's not just about emotions, but about finding balance. It's about finding peace within. It's about regulating. It's about aligning and attracting those you align with, and then removing those you do not align with. And then you're not so emotional anymore. You're stable. You're not sensitive. You're strong. Something to think about. So, again, I don't know a lot about horoscopes and all, the astrology, and who works well with whom. Honestly, you could say, okay, Taurus and Leo or blah, blah, blah. That just kind of goes over my head. But I look at it like this. You're a soul, I'm a soul. And we all will not align. And that is okay. And that is obvious. But when I look at people and connections now, it's more so you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to be on this 100% healing journey. Just enough to know that you're doing the work for yourself, Do you know what I mean? That you're not afraid to communicate those things too, openly. And when you're able to do that with another soul, have an honest conversation, even if it scares you a little bit, even if you know it may trigger the other person, you're saying it with empathy, you're saying it with compassion. So you're not just ripping the rug right underneath them. Those are the connections I desire. So I don't label you like, oh my God, you're Leo, out, get out. It just, if you're kind, if you're compassionate, if you're honest, if you have humility and integrity, if you love yourself, confident, but not overzealous with it. It's like that quiet confidence. You don't need to be heard. You don't need to be seen. You don't need to put on a facade for anyone. You don't change like a chameleon around different people. I've witnessed that way too much in my life, and you never know the person you're really going to get. You can see them for who they are, for who they could be, for their higher selves, but you'll never really establish a beautiful foundation with a connection. And connection, I mean friendship, anything, because it's always changing and not changing in the way as growth over time. I'm talking changing within the people that are around them that come in and out throughout the day, like a revolving door. So you're watching these personalities come out and these changes, and you're wondering, who am I connecting here with? Someone that's trying too hard, someone that's trying to impress you, someone that wants you to see this of them, but not this of them. I get it. I mean, I've done it, but I'm at that age now, and I'm at that stage where that's all different. And that's what I love about life. And if it means that I'm not going to make a million connections a day, that's fine. I was talking to someone about being an extrovert and an introvert, and I was born an introvert, very close with family and friends. I grew up to become an extrovert, but it wasn't in the right way. if that makes sense. Like I didn't have that personality just whimsically come out of me. I always forced that personality. If I was really close with you, you got to see that personality. Anyone that's really close to me, whether I'm able to really let my walls down, will see that personality come out in me back then. So I would have these extrovert moments, and I think there is a term, but I can't even try to pronounce it. So looking back, I find myself more introverted, but I love people. I work at a job that's very extroverted. I'm around people all the time. And it comes natural and easy to me now, to be honest, to be open. Sometimes I'm too vocal, especially at work. I've come to kind of stand in my power and my worth and my light and really advocate for our kids because I've seen enough. I've watched them go through enough that it's sickening, it's maddening how little respect and love the higher ups have for our kids. They say they want everything to benefit our kids, but they're not there in the trenches. So they're the ones pulling the plugs away from the programs, away from the incentives, away from the paychecks. They're the ones destroying everything for our kids. Well, they pat themselves on the back and do whatever it is they need to do to feed their egos. I don't know. It befuddles me how people can truly lose sight of who they are, of their character, for power, for money, for fame, for attention, for anything. And I love that this journey has taken me on a humble ride so I can stay humble and stay grounded. Because when I started my journey of speaking, of TikTok, it wasn't to go viral. In a way it is, you desire that. There's the portion of you, the ego, that wants to be seen. And then as the healing journey went on, I just wanted to share whatever I could to help whomever I could. You didn't have to have a conversation back with me and tell me that I was helping you. I just wanted to put my story out and be as honest and vocal and vulnerable as I could be. And there were slip ups and there were ups and there was a lot of downs with my journey doing that. And that's called growth. It's not called judgment. I'm not going to judge myself because I'm not perfect. And I can't say that enough. And the way the world and society works on these apps, it can be scary because what you wish for, and I'll just reference this once, only because she's kind of in the hot seat, is I hate even saying this word, the hot Tua girl. With all that's going on, the chaos that's crumbling around her, it's almost better for it to crumble for her. Do I want to see her go to jail for the mishaps? No. I hope that people see that it's not her, but her team that's doing this to her. You're going to make poor decisions because you want to trust everyone. And even your closest people can't be trusted. It's unfortunate, but as you go along with this journey, you start realizing that people can change and will change for either the better or for the worse. And if you're not making those decisions, universe is going to say, I got you. Here's your karmic lesson you're going to have to face now. And unfortunately, I think that she probably had every opportunity to change this path for herself, but her team got so lost in the millions and the money and the dollar signs that her name's attached to it. They don't have to go down for it. She does. So, of course, now you're looking back at these people that you trusted, and what hurts more? You could go to jail. You've discredited who you are. You've lost loved ones because they no longer care about you. They dropped you like a hot pancake. It's life's lessons, and they're always going to be there. So you got to be careful what you wish for. Sure, she did that interview and she came out of a bar and she was drunk and she said that, and it grabbed a lot of attention. But she had the choice of never going down that path. But it's a ride that you're willing to take, and I think there was a lot of that where I'm really trusting the journey and where it's taking me. I had a friend that literally did everything by a timeline and it just stuck. it made me feel stuck in some kind of timeline. Like, yeah, if I do this, I'm going to do this in 3 years. And I always wondered then, like, why was I rushing the process? Why was I rushing the journey of learning? I've learned so much. And honestly, like, I'll say this over and over. This time since I began this journey doesn't even feel like it's been that long. It literally, as I'm like replaying it right out of my head, feels very short. Like yesterday, a week ago, a month ago. It's absurdity and madness, yet it's this beautiful journey of, oh my God, I did go through a lot of shit, like a lot of things and a lot of lessons, and this in a in a long period of time, yet it doesn't feel very long. And I love that because I feel like I was present majority of the time in the moment. Now, could I have been more active and proactive with doing things? Yes, I'll take accountability on that. But I listened. So this weekend, I did not shame myself. I did not guilt myself. And I talked about it earlier, because I'm stubborn when I'm sick or when I'm exhausted. I don't want more chaos. And the only person that's creating the chaos is my head. Like, I'm doing that. So I allowed myself, you know what? You're tired, sleep. I don't care if you sleep 18 hours in a day, sleep. If it allows you, if universe allows you, if your body allows you, do it. Doesn't matter if you wake up at 1 in the morning and you're wide awake, do it. And it wasn't. Like, I literally listened and I stayed asleep. And it was the best thing ever because clearly I got rid of whatever I needed to get rid of for the holidays. I'm going to be off for 2 weeks. Coming this Friday is our last day. So I want to utilize those 2 weeks. I want to have fun. There's a lot of family parties planned. And there's a lot of downtime that I get to have to myself. And normally I'd be, on a flight somewhere. But I told myself that this year I kind of want to stay grounded. I want to stay close to home. I trust it. I don't know what it means, but I'm not going to dive into it. I'm not going to peel back those layers. So I'm on this family soul chat group, and they're amazing. We're talking about, like, I haven't had a lot of energy to talk either, share things. And then when things come up, I will share. But basically, I did share that I'm just trusting. I'm trusting the rest. I'm trusting the quietness of it, the stillness. I'm not forcing messages to come out of me. I'm not racing to respond because I have to pour back into me. And that was another video I came across about how people exhaust themselves. They wipe themselves out because they're always dot, 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 dot. I have to do X, Y, and Z. I have to do this for that person. I have to do this to fill the void. I was that person, the people pleaser, the make sure everyone's happy, to the point where I was nothing. And so when life changed and I started pouring back into me, I got a couple comments of, "You're selfish. Your judgment, not mine. I'm not going to feel bad." And there's that difference of fuck around and find out. I'm not saying fuck around with me and find out, but I'm saying fuck around and find out. You're going to get a different version of me because this version of me is my most healthiest. Perfect? Nope. Gonna still learn a lesson or two? Gonna get triggered? Of course. Am I waiting for those triggers? No, I'm living life. I'm being present. As long as I stay true and I stay honest, then I'm still going to continue to progress in life and still become abundant because I'm putting in the effort. So, yeah, I'm not really here for the games, the lies. I don't even care if you call them white lies. Just no. I'm not here for the judgments, whether it's to my face or behind my back. It's even worse if it's behind my back, but I'm not losing sleep overnight because you want to talk something. Go for it. Do it. It's your life. You're wasting your precious time spending time honoring me by judging me. Doesn't it sound silly? So, and why I'm speaking of this is because I was on a social media platform and I was in one of those groups, the big groups, like community group. And I witnessed a share somebody had of their conversation with their child. And what I witnessed outside looking in was conditioning at its finest. The parent conditioning the child to hate, to divide, to separate. And it broke my heart in a way that also made my eyes go big because I've never really witnessed that, felt it for myself. I've learned a lot from life, but I've never actually witnessed that conditioning taking place in a key moment in life where you could, as a parent, teach your child to just still choose love, not judgment. Now, do I know the whole story? No. Do I believe that the child was speaking appropriately? Yes. I mean, this kid was beautiful. The way he spoke was amazing. You could tell he's a very educated boy. But it was the final statement from the parent to choose a racial statement, a hate statement that just my soul kind of sunk. And I'm thinking, I love the boy's response. He didn't even dive into it. He didn't try to acknowledge it. You could almost feel that he was like, ew, gross, mom. But that's going to be his life later. He's going to probably give her the lesson, I'm hoping, instead of conforming into that hate narrative. I hope for the best for this kid, because if he's that talented in speaking so beautifully at such a young age and that inquisitive, that there's hope that he could still continue to choose himself and choose to speak from his own point of view and not allow what his parents are teaching him or what his mother was spewing to him. And it's our job as humans to watch ourselves, to be careful with what we choose to say. Because remember, what we were taught was also conditioned to us. That comes from a wounded person, an ego-centered person. Not everyone's going to see it, understand it, or do it. I'm sure people who listen to this, even if it's only once, judge me in some way. I'm sure that I sound crazy to some people. And I'm okay. It doesn't stop me. And I don't hang on to that notion anymore, but I used to. I used to attach myself to everything. And then my emotional bottle just kept filling until it was like ready to explode, which I talked about before is the drinking. I didn't drink often, but there were those occasional times when I did drink too much that I released the demons. I released the emotional baggage I was holding on to. I released all the suppression of emotion that I felt from others, even if it wasn't mine. I just released it all. I released all the fear. I released my ego, which would be the fear of saying something when I should have said something. When I felt those things that were out of alignment, I should have said something, but I held on to it. And then I would release it when I was drunk. It was a horrible web I wove. Weave web, whoa. I don't know. That sounded weird, but sure it's right. If it's not, well, it's my new lingo for the day. So, I guess while being sick for a weekend, I also got to lay around and think about things like being a Pisces and being over emotional. And someone was telling me that during Mercury retrograde, they were very emotional. And I had a couple moments. It is kind of weird without a uterus that I don't know when I would have gotten my period. So that kind of helps you. Now you kind of don't see it. Like you kind of go through still some of the same motions, but I couldn't tell you. I probably should keep track, but I don't. But I haven't been. I've been too wiped out to even have emotion. And I will say this though, is a healing point in my life when I would be too exhausted or sick. That would be a time when I'd be triggered to become very emotional. And I haven't been. So I love that I could still see myself growing and healing and not ignoring emotion, not numbing or anything. I'm just not even running. I'm acknowledging and embracing. And that includes resting, sleeping. Even if I don't want to sleep my weekend away, because then I have 2 weeks to kind of frolic and be me and do all the things I love to do, including this. So I am looking forward to that. break, and I'm looking forward to seeing my family all together. I am not looking forward to the cold weather, but fingers crossed we can continue some of these heat waves in the Midwest. Which is funny, I was coming across old videos. I don't know who's posting them, but there's like Chicago 1982. I would have been 2 years old at the time. And it was like the warmest day in Chicago, and it was like 64 degrees out. I said, "Excuse you?" And then they showed one where it was the same date, but it was 1994. So I would have been graduating 8th grade. Or no, middle of 8th grade year. And it was like the coldest day, and it was like negative, even though it's like negative 17. I said, But it's really cool to see those old videos of Chicago. And that was just something that randomly came into my mind. But yeah, so back to being on my life path journey, astrology. Full moon. This full moon, the cold moon, was all weekend. It actually is tonight, but it started Friday, which also did not help our student energies. Plus, it was Friday the 13th. Luckily, our kids were not too bad on that day, but that Thursday before, it was just pandemonium. So Mercury is microwaving. Today's the last day. And I guess it's the sign of the Pisces and Virgo. I don't know. I'm giggling because I'm like, well, what does that all mean per se? I'm just here for the journey, here for the ride. Figure it out when it happens. I don't know if there's any intervening. I don't know. Maybe. But if you have anything to share, please shoot me a message. I'd love to hear. I love learning. So anyone that has any educational insight, send it forward. But otherwise, stay blessed, stay warm, stay you. Thank you for another amazing day with infinite love with Kate. Take care.